Hi, my name is Felipe Ray, and today we're going to be going over properties and functions on Unit 1, Chapter 1, page 62, Question 9. Let's get going. A certain tax policy states that the first $50,000 of income is taxed at 5%, and any income above $50,000 is taxed at 12%. Now, before we can keep going, we have to highlight what we think is important about this question. Now it's talking about the first $50,000 is taxed at 5%. And any income above $50,000 at 12%. Now, to make sure the information that we highlighted stays in our head, let's write down a little message. First, $50,000. Don't forget your units. Is at 5%. Is taxed at 5%. And next, we have anything over $50,000 at 12%. Taxed at 12%. We have to highlight what we think is important about this question. Now it's talking about the first $50,000 is taxed at 5%. And any income above $50,000 at 12%. Now, to make sure the information that we highlighted stays in our head, let's write down a little message. First, $50,000. Don't forget your units. Is at 5%. Is taxed at 5%. And next, we have anything over $50,000 at 12%. Taxed at 12%. Now, going on to reading the question, 9A, calculate the tax on $125,000. 9B, write a function that models the tax policy. Now, before we get into any of these problems, we have to go over what a piecewise function is. Now, a piecewise function is a function that is defined as two or more equations / intervals on a graph, either similar or different functions. Now that we understand what a piecewise function is, here are two examples of what a piecewise function looks like on a graph. The red line represents y equals x squared minus 2, x is less than 2, and the blue line represents y equals a half x plus 3, x is greater than or equal to 2. In these two equations, you can tell where the separation is, and that's where a piecewise function is. Looking at this graph over here, we can tell it's the equation from question 9. And in this equation, we can tell where the lines separate, where it's below 50,000 and where it's above 50,000, using the both equations to separate the piecewise functions. Alright, for the sake of question 9, instead of starting with question A, we're going to start with question B to further understand what we're doing with piecewise functions. Alright, when starting with question 9, when going back to the question, seeing what we're given, we're going to be writing down what we're going to need for this. So we're going to have x equal our income, our variable. And then we're going to have t of x as our y, but also our tax pay on x. Alright, so when making this equation, we have to state back the following information we were given. So if we remember our notes, we're saying anything from 0 to $50,000 is taxed at 5%. And then anything greater than 50,000 is going to be taxed at 12%. But for this one, we're going to need a certain equation. For example, if you made $90,000, how would you tell the difference when being taxed? So what we're going to do is have a difference. The first statement, where we have X as our income minus 50,000, because it's on top of that, multiplied by 12%. Alright, now that we have two of our equations, let's solve for our anything greater than $50,000. So, 50,000 multiplied 0.05 plus X minus 50,000 multiplied by 0.12, which is 12%. Alright, let's get started. And with that, we have our new equation. And all we have to do is just write it down. So we have T of X equals 0.05 to $50,000. Anything from $0 to $50,000 will be taxed at 5%. And with our new equation, 0.12x minus 3,500, anything greater than 50,000 will be taxed at using this equation. Alright, now that we've done part B of 9, we're going to do 9A. Calculate the tax on $125,000. Now that we've got both our equations, we can apply those to question A to solve. Alright, the first part, we're going to first tax $5% of $50,000 to figure out the first part, because this is above and below $50,000, so there's two parts. And from the last question, we can already tell that 5% of $50,000 times 0.05 equals to $2,500. And for the second part, what we're going to do is use our previous equation, X minus $50,000 multiplied by 12%. Alright, and in this question, X is $125,000. And for our variable, that's what it equals. So we're going to do $125,000 times 12%. This equals to $75,000 multiplied by 12% is $9,000. Now with these two values right here, they're asking for the tax of 125. Now since we have two parts and two parts will equal to that certain one part that we want, we're gonna have to add it up. So we're gonna have to add up $9,000 plus $2,500, and that's going to give us a total of $11,500. That's going to be the tax for $125,000.
On a related note, if you liked and understood question 9, a career plan for you would probably be accounting. As you can see from question 9, we had to calculate both tax and understand piecewise functions where the graph separates by using different equations. In accounting, it's the measurement, processing, and communication of financial and non-financial information.